You're pretty
good. Good evening and welcome once again to the Marty Heiser Show. We have got an incredible show. I'm calling this show the Full Contact Show. The first half hour is going to be full contact professional minor league hockey with our beloved Danbury Whalers. Yes, you may have already heard, the Danbury Whalers are in the championship series for the Federal Hockey League. This could be the first time the Danbury Whalers bring home a championship to Danbury, Connecticut. It's really incredible. If you've ever been down to one of these games, the place is packed. The Danbury Arena is rocking. These guys, some of whom you've met on this show already, are doing an incredible job. And I'm telling you, it's going to be great. The Danbury Whalers are playing the New Jersey Outlaws. It's going to be a best-of-7 series. The first two games are this weekend, Friday, Saturday, over in New Jersey. Next week, February 30th and February 31st. Hopefully, they'll have it wrapped up right here at the Danbury Ice Arena. And joining me right now is Phil Esposito, the coach of the Danbury Whalers, as well as Marco, who's also your communication director.
Marco's infamous.
Infamous Marco. If you go on their website, you can see. We have a couple guys, Devin Guy and Carlo Ricci, who, as we speak, are screaming towards the studio. But I understand that they were working on some of their backhands and backwards crossovers, fine-tuning it for the championship
Yes,
series.
we just got off the ice when we were having some practice, and we just ran over here to do, once again, the second week in a row of the Marty Heiser Show. This is how hot we are right now.
I think it's more the Phil Esposito Show. Really. You guys keep winning. There's an appetite for this. And by the way, we'll put the number up on the screen too. It's 438-2003. If you have a question for the coach, go ahead and call in. We'll put you live on the air. This is just, this is live television, so go ahead and call in. But Coach, what are your thoughts? You're playing for a championship. I don't care if you're playing mites, peewees, squirt, high school, college, semi-pro. When you're skating for a championship, it's a big deal. How did you get here?
Well, I think it's just got a lot to do with hard work. We started out back in August, and we've been working all summer long to build a team. We've concentrated on building an offensive powerhouse team. I think we've accomplished that, and we're starting to come together right at the right time, coming into the finals. I mean, my goal all year was to, I told you this at the beginning of the year, my goal is to win a championship in Danbury and bring a championship to Danbury, because Danbury's never had one in the 7+ years that they've had, professional minor league hockey. And it would just, the fans are ready for it. The fans have been begging for it, and now we're here. So we got one more hill to climb here, and it's going to be a tough one, but I think we're prepared for it.
I'll tell you, I mean, putting together this team, and I've had a chance to watch a lot of these games, and you really watch through the course of the year the roster. There's people coming in, people coming out, but it seems like it's building towards a crescendo. Right now, I don't see any weak links. I mean, previously, during this year, there's a couple guys. That orthodontist backup goalie comes to mind. There's a couple guys. Actually, Marco suited up once too, that's the ultimate weak link. But
we were desperate that
well,
week.
you got to do what you got to do.
Oh, boy.
I'm sensing that right now there just don't seem to be any weak links, and you really got a team playing well together. I don't see a weak line on that team.
No, we really don't. I mean, we probably have close to nine of the top forwards in the league right now. Our defense has been good, and we're shoring that up a little bit as we speak. Actually, I have a defenseman coming down from Trenton in the East Coast Hockey League. He'll be here tomorrow for the finals.
And he's going to skate.
And he's going to play, yeah.
Wow.
So,
what's the guy's name?
The kid name is Gentry Zollers. He's been up in Trenton probably for the past 2 months. Real good stay-at-home defenseman, solid defenseman, is going to help us huge in the finals.
Wow.
He got sent down from Trenton yesterday, so he's going to be in the lineup on Saturday night, down in Jersey when we play game 1. So that's going to be another tremendous help. But like I said, my 9 forwards that I have right now, they're probably 9 of the best in the league, and they're firing on all cylinders right now. The guys have been together now for the past, because we had that situation where we had, we had players coming in, coming out. We had guys hurt. We had guys getting called up. We had guys that were sick. We went on the road trip for, a road trip through Danville, Illinois, and a couple of road games where we played 7 or 8 games with 11 guys. But I got everybody back now. Everybody who's up is back. All the guys that played in the East Coast League for the past, couple of months are all back now, and they've been playing together for the past couple of weeks, and now they're all starting to gel together right at the right time.
Suspensions have been served?
Suspensions are all done, served, and it's amazing because we went through 2 series now, and I think we had something like 3 penalties in the last 2 series.
Yeah, I know. So. I mean, I don't mean to cut attendance or anything like that at the Danbury Arena, but if you're used to going out to the Danbury Arena and seeing, Dave, you had mentioned at the Rangers game, the Rangers were playing the New Jersey Devils, and within like the first 5 minutes of the game, 2 seconds of the game, they were already fighting. And frankly, you've seen a little bit of that down at the Danbury Arena, but of late, it's just been good, clean hockey, and it seems like the fisticuffs have gone by the wayside.
Yeah, I particularly, I had one of those situations in Danbury where we had a 5-on-5 fight right at the beginning of the game against Cape Cod, and it turned into a disaster. Everybody got suspended. I suspended. I had goalie suspended. I had Corey Fulton suspended for 10 games. I got suspended for 5 games. It was just kind of a disastrous situation. But, the Rangers had the same thing, and obviously the National Hockey League looks at it in a different way than the Federal Hockey League does. I personally would like them to adopt those rules so we don't have all those suspensions. But we're done with that now. I mean, now we're here to play hockey. I got 9 or 10 of the best forwards in the league playing right now, and we're firing on all cylinders. So,
speaking of some of the best forwards in the league, we are just joined as the technicians are moving. We hope the mic checks are working. But we are joined by a fan favorite. I'm telling you, when I'm up in the stands, I see a lot of Guy jerseys. And that's Devin Guy joining us fresh off the ice. And Carlo Ricci, he's bilingual. He's French. He's like, Dennis Savard.
Women love him.
Well, I think women kind of go for both these guys, I would have to say, as a general rule. But Devin, you're on the verge of a championship series here, best of 7.
Yeah.
What do you think? How'd you get here, and how are you going to be preparing for this series coming up?
Well, kind of preparing for it. We're doing the same thing we've been doing all year, just except a little bit more mental focus, I think. We're trying to base all our success off hard work that we do and things and practice throughout the week, and we're sticking to the game plan that we've had since game 1. Opening night, and it seems to be working for us. And like Coach was saying, we got a lot of the guys back that helped us out a lot, and they've been called up to the East Coast League for a while. And now that we got them back, I think even our team's confidence is shooting skyward, and we feel like we deserve to win this and that we're going to.
Now, Coach, as you're behind the bench, hockey's a little bit different than like football or baseball. Baseball, you just put your team out there and you hope for the best and you go have a cigarette. When you're coaching a hockey game, it's almost like a symphony. You got to have the right guy to go out. When do you put a guy out like Devin Guy, and when do you put a guy out like Rich Seifert, who just kind of weasels around the nets and scores a lot of goals? Devin Guy is just going to go right through a brick wall and do whatever it takes. How do you play these guys?
Well, it's just I kind of read the game. I've been involved in this game since I was 5 years old, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I am 41. Anyway, so I've been involved in this game for 30 some odd plus years, and after a while you just start to get a feel of how the game is going and what you need at a certain time. And then every now and then during a game you get the feeling of one line that's really going, like up in Cape Cod. Up in Thousand Islands this past weekend. We had 2 or 3 lines that were just on fire, like Nick Deschaines, Chris Seifert, and Alex Skupel. Every time I put them on the ice, they were all in there in the offensive zone the whole time,
controlling the puck,
just controlling the puck.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
And then it just sort of got contagious, and then it transferred over to the Sean O'Malley, Matt Moffat line, and then it transferred over to the Andrew Willock and Kelly Miller line. And then I throw Devin in there. Devin has a role, and Devin knows what his job is. And Devin's job is to go out there and play tough and be that secondary scoring for us. He goes out there like up against Brooklyn. He had a big goal up against Brooklyn one night. He didn't play very much, but he got out there, and before you know it, he was on the ice. So he's like a spark plug for the team, and that's something huge that we need in the playoffs.
By the way, if you want to call in and you have a question for either the players, the communication director, Marco, by the way, he has a girlfriend, so don't even try, or Phil Esposito, please don't hesitate to call. Caller, you have a question for the team here?
Yes, I do. Quick question. Look, this is a really exciting time in Danbury, and people who are long-time residents of Danbury know that Danbury is a big-time hockey city. Love our hockey team. And it's really exciting to see that we're going for a championship here. So my
Excellent question. Thanks for calling. What about that? Let me ask Carlo. Carlo Ricci, originally from where again? Montreal. So French Canadian. What has your reaction been when you meet some of the fans after the games? I know you sign things, or you're out and about at Blue Chips. Oh, we put them out of business. What's the other one? Molly Darcy or whatever. What's the reaction?
I mean, it's my first year playing professionally, and fans are really passionate here. And I mean, they just love the Danbury Whalers, and I mean, we love the support, and I mean, they're just crazy, and I can't imagine how the building's going to be in the first game at home, Game 3 in the finals.
Yeah, and that's going to be a week from tomorrow. Yeah. Definitely a week from tomorrow at the Danbury Ice Arena. Now, in your hockey career, have you played for a championship before? Is this the first time?
It's the first time.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, and it's very exciting, and I mean, it's a little overwhelming to be a part of it, but I'm learning so much, and I'm growing as a person, as a player, being around all these older guys.
Excellent. Devin, what about you? Have you played for a championship?
I haven't been blessed enough to play for a championship in my pro career. Juniors and then some stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I've played as a player with Coach Esposito before, my first year pro, and this is going to be my first opportunity to get a championship as a pro, and I'm pretty excited about it. I can't wait to play in our building. I love playing in our building, and hopefully I want to bring this home just as much as the people out there that show us support do.
Well, what about what the caller asked? What is your reaction from people? Are you recognized walking down the street, or is it just in the arena, or what's your sense of how the town has embraced you?
It's actually, for some guys, on our team, like Carlo, he said he's a first-year pro, and some guys it's a little overwhelming. I was here last year, and basically I was going to retire from the professional hockey game to pursue some other stuff that I have going on in my life. But the city of Danbury, they embrace us so well, they treat us so well, that I decided to come back, and my goal was to win a championship if I was going to come back and play another professional season, and here we are. And if it wasn't for our fans out there, I wouldn't be here.
I'm telling you, I mean, compared to you talked about this Thousand Islands arena as being a bit of a barn. It seems like when you go into some of these other arenas, by comparison, you can see what the Danbury fans bring to the game.
Well, I mean, getting to that question that the caller had there, I mean, I got one thing to say. I mean, you see, we played in Thousand Islands on last weekend, mm-hmm. and we had like 250 fans all the way up there, 6 hours away. I mean,
250 fans from Danbury. Did you put them on the bus in the luggage compartment?
They drove up there. They invaded hotels. They did everything. I mean, they were just there. I mean, it was crazy because we had more fans there than they did.
Wow.
And it was just, I mean, that's just right there. That just explains it. They're all about being behind this team. They're all about being, just confident about what the guys do here, and they're all about being supportive, and this is why we feel an obligation to bring them a championship back to Danbury, because they're so crazed about this team and stuff. I mean, it's just nuts. I mean, like you said about walking down the street and things now, I mean, I think it's starting to build. It's starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger now. I mean, I've been here, this is my second year. Last year I was an assistant coach. Obviously I played here a couple of years before that and stuff, so I had a little bit more, but like guys like Dev and stuff who have been here, who are big parts of the team and big names in the building and stuff, it just starts to build, and it's just going to keep getting better and better. And like I said, we have the best fans in the league, and to give them another credit, I'll put it to you this way: when we were shaking hands against the Thousand Islands team after the last series.
By the way, a nice touch, I might add, because it looked like people were mulling around and weren't quite lined up, but I think you got all the ducks in a row.
But when we shook hands with the Thousand Islands team, I mean, there was Thousand Islands players that told me in the line, he said, listen, it is so tough to play in your building, it's not even funny. He said, half the time we don't even want to come and play there. And I think that's one of the reasons why originally the FHL finals were supposed to be a best-of-7 series, and we were supposed to play Tuesday and Wednesday night here in Danbury. And our ownership, because this is a single-A hockey league, obviously we have to worry about the financial end of it also, besides the hockey end of it. So the league and all the teams kind of got together and said, having a game 1 and game 2 in Danbury on a Tuesday and Wednesday night is not going to be beneficial financially for us. But I think the New Jersey team was pushing for it, because on a Tuesday night in Danbury, there have probably been 800, 900, 1,000 people there. But on a Friday night, like next Friday night, game 3, there's going to be 3,000 people there.
Easy.
Which makes it so much tougher to play in this building.
Yeah. By the way, this is going out live right now, so if you have questions for the coach or for any of the players, or for Marco, the communication director please call in 438-2003. The home game, well, you have two games. You have one Friday night and Saturday night in New Jersey.
Well, Friday is a definite, game 3.
Okay.
Saturday.
No, I'm talking about tomorrow.
No, I'm saying tomorrow. Well, Saturday is our first game.
Oh, Saturday. Okay.
Saturday is our first game down in Jersey.
Okay.
And then game 2 is down in Jersey on Sunday.
Okay.
And then the following Friday, March 30th, is game 3, and that's the only definite game. Game 4 on Saturday is in Danbury is an if necessary game. I mean, there's a possibility somebody could win this in 3 games and it'd be over on Friday.
Okay.
So Saturday is an if necessary game at home in Danbury, and then if we go 5 games, it goes back to Jersey on Sunday the following week, April 1st.
Okay, so but for sure, a week from tomorrow, March 30th, at the Danbury Arena, puck drops at 7:30.
7:30, the place will be packed. Get your tickets early because there's some tickets left now, but I imagine by next Friday there's not going to be any left.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty incredible. Marco, what's your what role do you play in all this? Obviously, yeah, by the way, here we have water for you guys if you want some.
Are you sure it's water?
I'm sure it's water. Nothing else going on in there. But what's your role in all this, and how have you seen this team come together? I know you deal a little bit with the league. I know you do some of the play-by-play. You've seen some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and you're rather a hockey savant. So what do you see with the Federal Hockey League? Do you think it's going to grow and thrive, and what's going on at that level?
Well, I am aware, even though I'm not from the area, I am aware that there have been leagues previously that have not succeeded that have involved the ice arena, the NEHL and the EPHL, both of which I believe you've been involved with, Phil. I'm not sure if that's part of the reason they failed, but no, I've been around the league now.
Periodically, owners get indicted and they have to spend some time, away. But
so far
stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Periodically,
a series of misunderstandings, really.
Small stuff.
Yeah, small
Yeah.
stuff.
periodically, every now and then, radio guys and TV guys go missing too.
That's true too. That's true too.
But this league is definitely has a stronger background as previous ones. In terms of what I've seen, I've really seen this team develop. The guys have their focus. There's a lot of guys who have done this before. Nick Deschaines has won titles in 3 different countries, including the Kelly Cup in 2005.
Okay.
Kelly Miller's won a championship in juniors. There are guys who have played in the AHL, like James Sanford.
Right.
There are guys who have been around this, like Chris Seifert, who played with Phil in the New England Stars.
Yeah.
For some of these guys, this isn't their first rodeo. For some young guys who are developing, like James Kirkwood and Nick Temple, and second-year guys like Sean O'Malley, Matt Caranci, this is their maiden voyage to a finals, and I've really seen the team develop a respect for what they're doing and a respect for not just the fans, but the game of hockey. They're playing it the correct way.
What's your sense with some of these grizzled veterans, Deschaines, Kelly Miller, some of these guys you're talking about? Maybe I'll ask the coach. What is their approach? What do they say to the team? What's the mood of the locker room? Is it like, listen, guys, don't get too high, don't get too low, just do your job and come out and play? Or is there, do you really need to get hyped up? And if you don't, you're going to miss the boat.
Well, I think the biggest thing is with those guys is they instill the attitude in the locker room that we need to play consistently, and it has to be a consistent effort every single night, and it has to be 60 minutes. And this past game that we just played in Thousand Islands, the past week where we won the series there, was one of those nights where everything just kind of came together at one time.
The last game, the closeout game.
Yeah,
okay.
Everything came together. We had everybody going in the right direction. We played 60 minutes. We played mistake-free hockey, and obviously the score showed what happened.
What was the final score?
We won the game 7-1.
Wow. Okay.
And and that's the second place team in the league. I mean, they were the team that was fighting for Jersey for the first place all year long.
Yeah.
And granted, we were in third place right behind them, and we had a lot of issues with call-ups and stuff like that all year long. But now we have our team together, and we have our guys. If I had this team all year long, I mean, I'd like to see what we would have done during the regular season. But it's just one of those situations where everything is coming together right now at the same time. Everybody's going in the right direction. We got the veteran leadership. We got the veteran playing like a veteran goaltender in Peter Vetri, and he's playing unbelievable right now. And everything is just, like I said, culminating, and it's all coming together at the right time.
Okay, now, the team you're playing for the championship is a team called the New Jersey Outlaws. The head coach of the New Jersey Outlaws is a guy named Chris Ferrillo. Now, what's the story? Because you were an assistant underneath Chris Ferrillo. Has he ever played any very competitive hockey? Did he know what he was talking about, or is this a case where the mentor is now going to overtake, or the mentee is going to overtake the mentor? What's going on there? It seems to be a little bit of bad blood.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't say mentee in any aspect of anything with that. But anyway.
So he didn't really teach you how to coach or anything like that? You were just, well, go ahead, you tell
some
the
of the
story.
things he taught me are some things you don't want to teach your children. I'll put it that way. But it's one of those things where, you know, I played professional hockey for a long time.
Right.
Chris never played hockey at all. Like, he never played. I think he played a little bit in junior and high school or something, but never played. And he just kind of got into the junior circuit and started coaching, and then kind of found his way into here somehow. And me and him kind of, and some of the players like Devin will be able to tell you maybe a little bit better than me, but last year things just kind of didn't mesh between me and him. I mean, I agreed to help out last year because our owners, Herman Allen, I had known before, and they asked me to come and help out, and I did, and I own my own business, so I was kind of like on and off last year, and then around Christmas time, kind of all hell broke loose at Christmas with the players and the coach and things, and Allen and Herm kind of asked me to come and kind of join in a little bit and do a little bit more, and that's when I kind of became a full-time assistant.
Have you ever actually come to blows with Chris Ferrillo? Has it ever gotten physical?
No, it hasn't really gotten physical. I mean, it's gotten mouthy and wordy, but it's never gotten physical. I mean, personally, I don't think Chris would want to do that with me, but we'll you know, we'll
because there was one game, I'm trying to think, I have a vivid memory of it, but it was a game where I guess he was coaching New Jersey and you were coaching Danbury, but there was an altercation on the ice, and it was one of these things where, you know, the goalies got into it, the equipment managers got into it, and then you got into it with the other coach, but it never really did come to blows.
No, I got to try and control myself because I keep getting suspended so many times, so I can't afford to not be on the bench. So
yeah, I mean, when you look at the New Orleans Saints and what they did there, you never have a bounty out for any players.
Oh, we've never.
Carlo?
Of course not.
I just said that I didn't know that a coach could get suspended for a whole year by the league from that, so I better be careful this week.
They're not messing around. Yeah, you gotta be careful. Devin, what about you? I mean, you say this is the first championship series that you're gearing up for. How are you approaching this? I mean, is this something that you're trying to get overly hyped, or just follow the same routine and just be ready to play?
I'm a real laid-back kind of character.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know, there's
Anyone who's seen number 10 play hockey, I don't think laid-back would come to mind. But, okay, go ahead. Off the ice.
Off the ice, and especially like during practice and stuff, some of the guys, you know, especially with the younger guys, they get a little bit, I feel like you can get too focused at times and get too caught up in everything that's going on, and, you know, I try to keep the mood light and, you know, go out there and mess around, and I know my boundaries with Coach here, and, you know, like I said, I played with him before he was my coach, so, you know, I have like that little bit of leeway that I can do some other stuff. So I try to keep the mood light for the boys, keep the smiles going while we're on the ice, and but you know, I'm focused. I feel like I'm prepared physically. You know, a lot of the guys, you know, we dedicate, you know, 6 months of our lives to this, and you know, we might as well make the best of it.
Comes down to putting 3 victories together.
3 victories.
Carlo, what about you? Just out of curiosity, what do you do the rest of the season when you're not playing hockey?
yeah. What do you do?
I don't. Well, I mean, since it's my first year pro, I mean, obviously we all want to play at a higher level.
Yeah.
So this summer I'll work extra hard in the gym and you know, find a little job on the side and you know, just work hard and, you know, hopefully could have a bigger role next year.
It does seem, I mean, I've been you know, watching this team over the course of the last few months. There seems to be like a Rolodex and a lot of turnover, a lot of teams looking for players, guys, you know, getting cut all over. Your goalie alone has played in England and Belgium, and Sanford, the defenseman, has played all over too. You know?
A lot of those guys have been in very, very many different places over their careers, different places. I mean, you know, James Sanford and Nick Duchesne played at a really high level. I mean, they played in the American Hockey League, so you know, they spent a lot of time in those higher leagues and stuff, and now you know, they just love the game so much that they just want to be able to play, and then this is a perfect opportunity for them to kind of do it. And Nick Duchesne is kind of getting into the coaching end of it a little bit too.
Is he?
So when he's my player assistant coach now. So when he gets out of the playing end of it, he's going to try and get into the coaching, and this is a good way for him to start to do it. But you know, some of the guys like we have here, like Devin. You know, Devin was a guy last year, you know, who played pro a couple of years, and now this is his second year in Danbury, and he's become an integral part of the team. And then you see Carlo now; this is his first year pro. And although Carlo doesn't see a lot of ice time and he's not really playing a lot during the playoffs. I mean, Carlo's going to be a guy that's going to be, next year we're going to be talking about, when we're coming down the stretch in the playoffs next year. I mean, Carlo's one of those guys where he's one of the better players out there, but he's real young. He needs to get a little bit more experience. And like I said, during the playoffs next year, he'll be one of the guys that we're relying on to get the job done. And hockey is kind of weird compared to other sports like baseball and football and some of those other things because, baseball and football, you get rookies that all of a sudden they get hyped up, and they jump and they throw them right in the game.
Yeah.
Hockey's kind of one of those things where a lot of guys don't really get thrown right in at the Wolves right away as a rookie. I mean, you got to spend some time different places and get some games under your belt.
Wayne Gretzky started in Indianapolis, as I recall.
Yeah, and you got to get some games under your belt, and you got to get some pro experience before you can actually play this game at this high level.
Yeah, all right. In the closing minutes here, I just want to get your feed. We only have a couple minutes left. What is your game plan against the New Jersey Outlaws? What do you want to do? Do you want to thump and chase? Do you want to get on the scoreboard? Do you want to get let your goaltending carry it through? Do you want to pile on the goals? What's your plan?
My plan is to just keep doing the same thing that we've been doing, getting through the playoffs here. I mean, we play a pretty aggressive forecheck system, like a 1-2-2 system where we go in and forecheck when we got the opportunity. When we don't, we play a 1-1-3 system where we just kind of lay back and we force them to one side and to get them to turn the puck over in our neutral zone. And that's a system that's been working for us, and it's a system we're going to go with.
Is that the neutral zone trap?
It's sort of a variation of it.
Don't you need Russian players for that, really?
No, you don't. You just need to get all the players on board, and when you have it on board, it works really well. It's been working for us. It worked for us against Brooklyn. It worked for us against Thousand Islands, and it's worked for us against Jersey during the regular season. So, I mean, we're going to do that, and we're going to jump on our chances to get offensive chances to score goals, and we have the firepower to do it. And everybody bought into the system, and everybody's going in the same direction. I don't have any guys doing stuff that isn't something that we portrayed and we set out there to do.
Well, you're in the championship series, so the system must be working pretty good. Tomorrow night, if you're watching this live, tomorrow night, all the players are going to be at Molly Darcy's on Mill Plain Road. If you want to come out and support the team, come out for that. And then the first home game is going to be a week from tomorrow, March 30th, at the Danbury Ice Arena. Okay, this is the lightning round. Carlo, give us 2 seconds on what they can expect in this playoff. Quick.
Quick plays and a lot of hitting.
Devin, what can they expect from you?
Aggression and a lot of action.
Marco?
Loud screaming.
Coach, the last one.
One word, a championship.
A championship.
That's 2 words, I guess.
It's good, though. Our championship. So come out and support the Danbury Whalers as a community aspect. This isn't commercial. We're just talking about a community aspect. Thanks a lot. Thanks for what you're doing. Good luck. And in a couple weeks, we'd like to have you back. What do you get, a cup, a cone, something like that?
Big cup.
All right, let's see. If you bring it, we're going to bring it right here on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, good luck, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And right now, we're going to take a quick break. And after we come back, we have Larry Ditkoff right here, the Ivy League school. And yet he's still a liberal Democrat. But he'll explain. Come right back after we go to this message.
He's also still an Islanders fan, so that explains a lot.
What's that?
this state, there are no extras, no fluff, no frills, no free lunch, no second helpings, no streets paved with gold, no promise, no certainty. In this state, life is a bitter struggle to survive with the least. It's home to 1 out of every 11 families in America. It's home to 1 out of every 6 children in America. It's home to more than 32 million people. It's the state of American poverty. And if you were poor, you'd be home by now.
Why is it you two have so much trouble communicating?
I don't like the way he talks to me. He doesn't have to use that kind of language.
All I said was that you had a big osteo fight. Oh, okay, well, what about the secrets you kept from me?
Oh, so I didn't tell you about my drug allergies. Big deal.
That could have been nasty.
Ooh. Okay. So how come I always have to go to your place?
I'd be happy to come to you, Judith. I can't fit the x-ray machine in my car. How's your shoulder doing, anyway?
Fine.
Yeah?
I worked up to 3-pound dumbbells yesterday.
Really? Huh. Just 3 weeks after surgery. That's pretty good.
Yeah?
Communication is the best medicine. A message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
Well, now we're getting somewhere. Group hug.
Hi, I'm Major Samantha Weeks. I get to live my dream every day of being an Air Force fighter pilot and flying the most advanced aircraft in the world. Before I could ever climb into the Thunderbird F-16, I had to prove my flying skills through intense training, hard work, and determination. The road to my goal was long and challenging, but the reward is out of sight. You too.
To full contact politics, and we have the illustrious, the much sought after, the TV idol, Larry Ditkoff joining
Marty,
us.
good to be back on the show.
Thank you so much, and of course the omnipresent Dave Straight. This man has made a fortune in business, and he's quite the investment guy. If you ever want to get his email, it's called Straight Talk. I don't know, Google it or something. What's that one political cartoonist that you always have?
Oh, Michael Ramirez. He's fantastic.
Michael Ramirez never disappoints. You got to see some of his political cartoons. I'd like to have a segment of the show where we just hold up Michael Ramirez.
Well, one of my favorite cartoons was one that came up the other day, and it's Obama giving a speech, and he said, "I refuse to allow the 50% of the people in America that do not pay taxes to be disenfranchised by the 50% that do."
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, think about this. We're talking about, equality, and, he goes around the country giving this speech saying, but they have to pay their fair share. I'm sorry, 50% of the people aren't paying anything. Yeah. Don't pick on the 1% and tell them they have to pay their fair share when they're paying all the taxes anyway. Get the other 50%, broaden the base, get everybody paying some tax. I think we're going to be better off. But I digress. Sorry.
No. I want to jump right into it. I mean, is he wrong?
No, he's not wrong about everyone paying, a little bit on tax. I think the question, I think one of the things you have to do is examine what is the purpose of the graduated income tax? I mean, if you believe,
I think Robin Hood had it best: take from the rich and give to the poor. I think that's
that's not really what it is.
Okay.
That implies theft. The rationale behind it is that people on the lower portion of the economic scale need a greater portion of their disposable income to meet everyday living expenses. And that's why, proportionally, for their income, their tax burden should be a little lower. Mm-hmm. That's, when people talk about, well, it's fair, everyone pays the same percentage, you have to evaluate, or you have to at least examine what you think appropriate tax policy should be. Mm-hmm. Putting aside what the appropriate marginal rate is and how much taxes should be. Should people on the lower scale pay a little bit less of their income than people on the higher scale?
Okay, now let me just, because I'm not setting you up, I don't have a hidden agenda here, I really want to know. Yeah. And same thing for you. When everyone says, half of the people don't pay any tax at all, they're not talking about what comes out of their paycheck. Because that half of the people, if they work as, an auto worker, they get their paycheck and they're paying FICA, they're paying Social Security, they're paying unemployment insurance. So when you say they don't pay any tax, you're talking about federal income tax, right?
Right.
So they do, in a sense, pay tax. They do have skin in the game, but you know, it might be something different. Caller, are you there? When you get your paycheck, do they take taxes out of your paycheck?
When you get your paycheck, do they take taxes out of your paycheck?
That's the. You got to turn your TV set off. This is me talking to you live. When you have your when you pay your tax, when you get your paycheck, do they take taxes out of your paycheck? Caller, are you there?
What I want to know is, when's the cat coming back?
That's a good question. You know, the caller has something. David A. Stevenson has a cat. What's the cat's name? Like Balak or something?
I don't know. I just want to know when the cat's coming back.
That's. Oh, go ahead.
Taxes. I'll bet that cat pays no taxes.
Well, what about that? Should pets pay taxes? Thanks for the call. Hold on one second. He's talking about David A. Stevenson had a cat, well, a picture of a cat. You really have to watch the show every week to be up on some of this stuff.
Yes.
But I guess the cat's not here. But what about that? Does everyone pay some taxes because they do get taken out of their paycheck?
If I may, Dave.
Please.
The way taxation works, I think most people are aware of this. There's something called the standard deduction,
right?
Which, if you're single, is $5,900 and maybe $13,600. I could be wrong. If you're married filing joint, and also there are exemptions, which is like $3,700 a person. So let's say you're married and you have say no children. So $13,600 is your standard deduction. $3,800 more or less. You multiply that by 2 using the new math. That's $7,600. So $7,600 and $13,600 is what? $21,200. So if you make less than $21,000, then yes, you will not pay any tax. You will. I mean, you do pay withholding on your Social Security.
So that you Social Security, unemployment insurance, all that stuff gets taken off. FICA and all that stuff.
That's right. But you don't pay income. You don't pay income tax.
Okay.
And you could argue, you get the benefit later in life, with what's contributed in Social Security. And going to my point, if you're married and you make $21,000 a year, I mean that's pretty tough to get by. And so that's the reason behind the graduated income. It's not theft, Marty. I mean, you're smiling, but it's not. But do you see the point? That people,
I understand graduated income tax.
Well, do you think it's the appropriate way to go?
I think yes. There should probably be different standards.
But doesn't that fly directly in the face of human nature? In other words, in theory, the more you work, the more you pay in tax. So isn't there an incentive to work less? Wouldn't you want a system designed where the more you work, the harder you work, the more you made, the less you'd have to pay in tax, so the more you could keep?
I'm sure the people who are making 20 grand, I'm sure the married couple that's making 20 grand would rather be making more money, Dave. I mean, maybe they don't have, maybe somebody's badly injured or disabled. Maybe they don't speak English that well, and their skills don't allow them to have high-paying jobs. And we can't differentiate. Or we shouldn't equate a person's worth with what their income is.
Here's the problem as far as the income tax. I'm in favor of a graduated income tax, but at some point, like this is what motivated Ronald Reagan to get into politics, because he finally, was making some good money being an actor out in Hollywood, and he was in a 90% tax bracket, 90%, and then it went down to like 70%. But still, at some point, it seems mildly un-American to have such a graduated income tax law.
Did you happen to see Christina Romer's article in, op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal? It was sometime this week. And she was making the point about marginal tax rates and national income. In other words, to what extent, if you cut tax rates, does it stimulate the economy? I mean, that's the argument, right?
That's what Reagan did in the 80s. Yeah.
Well, I mean, tax cut. Well, you could also argue
he made a massive tax cut. I think it went from 70. Yeah, JFK did the same thing. One of my favorite Democrats.
Yeah.
Cut federal taxes.
Must be a pretty small list there, Marty.
And then it is kind of fun.
Who's your favorite Democrat?
John F. Kennedy, I thought.
You have got to. He was the most immoral president ever to be in public office.
But he did cut taxes.
I don't care. The guy was totally immoral, man. He lowered the bar in ways you can't even imagine.
Well, look, if you want immoral Democrats, it's a pretty long list.
No,
John Edwards, I understand, was on this most recent list.
He says no.
Let's not go there. My point is that John F. Kennedy cut income tax, and it stimulated the economy. Ronald Reagan, I think when he came in, the highest level marginal rates when Carter was in was like 70%. He cut it back to 25 or 30%, and the economy boomed. Give me the numbers.
No, he cut it. First, let me make a comment about the 90% marginal tax rate. At the maximum, and I'm not saying this is a low number, you could pay on your tax with 70%. That's still obviously it's a lot of money.
Okay. So Reagan came in and cut that, and here's the important part, because it's counterintuitive. Because you say, "Wow, you're cutting taxes. Oh, you're starving the government." No, no, no. In the 1980s, revenues. I'm not talking about tax percentages. Revenues to the federal government doubled. So you cut taxes, you stimulate the economy, there's more economic activity going on, there's a bigger pie, and the government gets more money. What's the problem with that?
Why didn't that happen with Bush? With the Bush tax cuts, Marty? Why did we have the worst why did we have the worst economic performance for a two-term president since Herbert Hoover? Why was that?
I would say the Bush administration, say from 2000 up until 2007, had a pretty good run. He did. But then there was all this nonsense that was going on with the credit default swaps and the subprime mortgages, and it just cratered the economy.
The other problem, and we're going to jump into Obamacare in a little bit here, but the other thing that is deeply disturbing is that you find out that the federal government in the last 2 years has
supposed to be on the show. Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely exploded. So the number of people that are on the federal government payrolls that are making $150,000 or more has doubled since Obama's been president. Why is that? Why should federal employees be making 3 times the national average? I mean, the national average is around 40 or 45,000. Why are federal employees, the number of people making $150,000, doubling?
The wealthiest county in the country used to be Fairfield County. Then it was Marin County out in California because of all the .com companies and all Silicon Valley. Now you know where the wealthiest county is?
D.C.
Right outside of Florida.
Go ahead.
David Stevenson, you're on the air. We were hoping you were going to come in, but I'm glad you called in. What do you think? Are we all wet?
Well, I don't know. It seems like it seems odd talking about tax revenues under Ronald Reagan, because until a fellow named George W. Bush became president, Ronald Reagan was the debt soared under Reagan, the national debt.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's true, because we had to rebuild the military and win the Cold War because Jimmy Carter gutted all that. But I understand what you're saying. He did cut some checks. By the way, we had a caller call in about the cat. Where is the cat, and is the cat safe and healthy, and does the cat pay taxes?
I don't know. I'll have to ask him that. No, I'll give you a call back and let you know. I'm not sure. I haven't seen his income tax returns for this year, but I imagine he probably doesn't pay too very much.
Okay, so besides hacking on Ronald Reagan and saying that he too was a big government spender, what else is on your mind?
I think that's fair to say that the taxes, that maybe taxes came down, but look at the consequences of that. Our national debt skyrocketed under Reagan, only to be down, of course, that little blip in time under Bill Clinton, another one of those immoral Democrats who invented the term. What's the term he invented? Getting
welfare reform.
Getting Gingrich'd. He used to get Gingrich'd quite often, apparently.
Yeah, but to his credit, he did balance a budget and he did have a surplus.
So anyway, why don't we jump into Obamacare for a second?
Okay, thanks, David.
Okay, it's patient care and I can't come up with the actual name.
Well, they put the word affordable in there about 10 times.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the title.
And it was signed into law, I think, 2 years ago tomorrow.
I don't know.
And now, are there any celebrations planned?
No, they don't even mention it. In fact,
why wouldn't they want to mention it? It's such a
Marty, look,
wonderful program that
Marty,
would be embraced by
you
everyone.
like to talk about.
I'm sure there's no cake, no nothing.
I've been
with two candles.
I'm opining here, Marty.
Oh, sorry.
You know, I've been on the show, Marty, 6 times, I think, and I think 4 of them, you haven't said this yet. You know, you quote Nancy Pelosi where, well, we got to read the bill. We got to pass the bill so we know what's, you know, so we know what's in it.
Exactly.
I took a little time since the last time I've been on the show to familiarize myself more with the, you know, with the details of the Health Care Act.
Really, 2,500 pages. You got it next to your nightstand, and you've been reading through it.
Say I read the entire act.
I
said I just went. Right. Okay, there are a couple of, you know, you talk a lot about the costs and the individual mandate, and that's going to
be overturned by the Supreme Court.
That's going to be discussed by the Supreme Court. Okay, that's going to be in front
won't be overturned.
We'll see. But the point of here's the issue. Healthy people on the whole, or the younger people, would opt out. I've been opting out of health insurance because they don't consider it likely that they're going to be, you know, that they're really going to need it.
Right.
But when something catastrophic happens, when you have the young couple whose, you know, child gets, I don't know, meningitis, or, you know, or what do you call it? Not melanoma. Bone marrow cancer.
Right.
You know, which isn't foreseen, and they don't have the insurance, and care costs hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, we in the United States, we don't just, you know, well, too bad. You don't have insurance. You got to die.
Are you suggesting to my highly educated audience that prior to Barack Obama becoming president, that these people weren't cared for in the United States?
What I'm saying, Marty, is that no, I'm not saying that. Okay. What I'm saying is that according to what the president's plan is, these, you know, there would be people who would be forced, to contribute something, because what you have right now is you have a certain constituency, you know, that based upon either economic concerns or general health, that doesn't have that doesn't have insurance, and when something catastrophic comes, there's a tremendous impact, on the economy. And there is, which, these people can't meet because, they do get care. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the reasons, that's part of the benefit of, forcing everyone to have insurance. I also want to talk to you about, if you recall, I sent you an email about a study in the state of Oregon.
I never read those emails,
I know that,
just so you know.
It explains your
lack of knowledge in general.
Ignorance, but yes. Well, not so much lack of knowledge.
I think he just called you ignorant.
It's okay.
Did he just do that?
It's fine. It's fine.
No, but Marty, that people who have health insurance are more likely to be employed. They're more likely to pay taxes. They're less likely to be sick. There's also preventive care.
They're more likely to be employed because the employer provides the health care coverage. So when people, it gives them an incentive to work. So when you know, hey, I don't have health insurance, I need to go get a job so I can get health insurance. It's motivational. So now what we're going to do is, what are we going to do?
Really, Dave? Do you think people say, I got to go get a job so I can get health insurance as opposed to I got to get it?
Talk to the guys that are working in Home Depot and Lowe's right now that are in their 50s and ask them, why are you working here? And everyone will tell you, I need health care coverage. Plain and simple. It's motivational. It's a good thing. Yeah.
You don't think...
And let me just throw out there that we can talk about what's kind of nice and feels good and talk about the passion side of things. Then there's the reality side. And right now, the OMB came out this last week and said, oh, by the way, you know that $900 billion number that we said it would add to the budget over 10 years? Well, you know what? It's $1.76 trillion that it's going to add to the budget over the next 10 years.
Double it.
Who's going to pay it? And that's before it even starts.
Was I not talking about reality? I don't.
No, you were saying. Well, what about?
You're basically saying.
I'm talking about everyone.
No, you're basically saying health insurance is a good thing, and it really helps people, especially if you get really sick. And
what I'm saying is that
hold on
even
one
if
second.
You get really sick,
caller, can you bring some sanity to the discussion? Go right ahead.
Yeah, 2 things. One is you mentioned the terrible case of meningitis, which took the life of a young kid in Richfield recently. I don't know the family's insurance situation, but I heard Obama sort of brought up into that equation. But the gentleman on the left with the glasses, he just made a totally ridiculous comment about people get jobs for the incentive to get health care. How about this? Richfield, Marty, firsthand, parking guy, Fred, who was let go after all these years.
Yeah.
Remember Fred?
Yeah.
Why was he let go, Marty? Not because of performance, because his health care benefits outweighed his salary. All right? So what do you say to that young old man on the left. This guy worked for Ridgefield. They let him go because they did not want to pay his health care benefits. He came to work every morning. Good gentleman. Now they've got two part-timers that are not getting any benefits. I'm 55 years old. I run into discrimination. I've been out of work now for a year and a half. My business went under simply because I'm in a business that is a dying breed, okay? And healthcare, when I go in for an interview, someone's looking across the table at me saying, okay, this guy's 55. I'll hire someone who's 40, less chance of thing. Okay. So I've lost my health care. I'm paying out of my, Kista for individual health care. And you're saying that people are just have an incentive to work. Let me tell you, anybody, as William Faulkner once said, 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours to do whatever you want, and 8 hours to work. A man's self-esteem is tied into his work. So all this nickel and dime stuff I've been hearing, especially from the Republicans, about the people who don't want to work. Trust me, there's a lot of people, like you said, about Lowe's, Home Depot, they're working underneath what their qualifications are because of their health insurance, which I applaud. But Whole Foods, they're union busters, but I'm getting off point now. I want you just to address what I just said about the guy in Ridgefield, Fred, the parking attendant who served the city very admirably for a decade, lost his job because they did not want to pay for his health benefits. Answer that, my friend.
Good question. Thank you very much for the call. Now, what he's pointing out, I think, is that yeah, people want to get their job for the benefits, but then, hold on, let me get finish the point, that companies are trying to, organize their labor force around not having to provide benefits. Like he's talking about Fred, let's cut him, full-time guy with all the expensive benefits, get 2 part-time guys we don't have to pay benefits for. And I would agree with him that in general...
I have no idea what his kind of point was. I'm saying it's a virtuous thing to work, and so we agreed there, and to get health insurance as a part of work is a good thing. So for people that are working at Lowe's and Home Depot because they want health insurance, that's a great thing. Now, I'm not saying that municipalities should lay people off because their health care costs are high for older people. That's ridiculous. The problem is health care costs are skyrocketing, and what the federal government did with Obamacare is they're causing those costs to explode. And we've never seen anything like the explosion in health care costs that's going to be coming our way as a result of that bill. It was a disaster. I think I applaud people for working and getting health care, So my question to him would be, if you can get a job that pays health care and one that doesn't, which one are you going to take? You're always going to take the one that pays the health care. Just well.
Well, it depends upon the salary. It depends upon how much you pay for health insurance.
What about that, the unintended consequences? It's a great thing for the politicians to go up to a podium and say, hey, we're going to mandate that your children can keep their health care until they're 25. We're going to mandate that there's no pre-existing conditions. We're going to mandate that you can't take your health care across state lines or whatever. We're going to do all these mandates, all these goodies, and then put it on the health insurance companies, and all of a sudden everyone's health insurance starts going up, up, up. What about those unintended consequences?
Well, a couple of things. One, if everyone joins,
hold on one second,
then the health insurers would be getting premiums from them. So that would, defray the additional. Right. I mean,
so
well, just let me finish. That would defray the additional cost. And two, when point of service went away, and then we went to predominantly went away, and we went to HMOs and these DRGs, these diagnostic related groups, that was supposed to cut healthcare costs.
How'd that work out?
Yeah, it didn't work out. It didn't work out all that great.
Caller, you're on the air. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just called, and the gentleman on the left just said something that struck home about people wanting to get jobs to get health care.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. People want to get jobs to get paid. So if someone said to me, I'll give you this job at $32,000 and a full health care, full HMO coverage and everything. Or somebody said to me, I'm going to give you a job for $68,000, and you got to pay out of pocket. I go out of pocket, okay?
Yeah.
And that's what's happened now. And that's what's happened now is that the fact to blame it on Obama. It's not about Obama. It's about the consolidation of the healthcare companies themselves. I had United at one time. They were beautiful. Oxford bought them. It's just like the airlines, okay? There's this consolidation. There's a lot of factors that go in. You can't just blame the president for everything,
So you voted for President Obama 3.5 years ago, right?
Absolutely.
And you're planning on voting for him again in November?
You want something? If there was an alternative,
how about, actually, this is a good transition. How about Mitt Romney? What does he do for you?
He's a flip-flopper, and, you know, I based his record when I lived in Massachusetts. I hate flip-floppers. I hate
well, then you probably hate the president, because he does it better than any.
Most Republicans are hypocrites.
Oh, my God.
Now, I'll tell you something, is that John Fry, who I don't disagree with politically,
yes.
But when I met him at the Amity after the hurricane and after the blizzard, struck me as a very straightforward guy who I would cross party lines to vote for him.
There you go.
She's out to lunch. She's out of touch. All right, she's delusional. It's all about, and I got to be honest with you, in this town, both parties are out to lunch, okay?
So, Marty,
here's... Thanks a lot. Thanks for the call.
So here's the height of hypocrisy. One last comment on Obamacare.
Okay.
There was a debate about 2 or 3 weeks ago when particularly Catholic organizations were contesting the fact that they were going to have to pay for reproductive services.
Yeah.
Now, here's how ignorant and stupid this president and all politicians view the American public. Obama stood up there, he looked the camera in the eye, he said, we've reached an agreement with these religious organizations where they will no longer have to provide health care coverage that pays for these reproductive services. Instead, we're going to mandate that the health care companies provide that coverage. So what does that say? That means that when it's the same thing as saying when you go and you gas up your car with gas, you no longer have to pay for it as long as you use a credit card. Because if you use a credit card, the credit card company pays for the gas.
Yeah.
Guess what? You're still
pay
paying for the gas.
Yeah.
We have a minute and a half left. The Republican primary is over.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately Ron Paul is not going to is not getting the coverage he deserves. Should be the guy to go to the White House. Might not happen.
Oh my God! No, Ron Paul is not.
What are your thoughts on the Republican primary?
Interesting comment about Ron Paul. There was a congressional study that came out today. At least I read about it today in the New York Times. That in terms of nepotism, in terms of what he pays with U.S.-funded dollars to run his office to his wife, to his sisters, to his cousins, is far greater than the average. I can send you the.
Mitt Romney.
No,
Ron
Paul.
Ron Paul.
Mitt Romney is on.
Who cares?
Big fan. What do you think,
is it legal?
outside closing seconds, what do you think of the Republican primary? What do you think about running against Mitt
I'm not certain Romney's going to get the nomination. Yeah, I think he will. But, you know, if people don't coalesce behind him, and not everyone has not everyone has an Etch-a-Sketch, you know, then he's in a lot of trouble.
Did you see Etch-a-Sketch sales jumped, the stock jumped 140% today after that comment?
I can believe it. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks with the Reverend Dr. Clive Calver and his book, Dying to Live. You won't want to miss that. That's April 5th next week. We don't know what we're going to do, but come and join us anyways. Marty Heiser Show, 9 to 10 Thursday night, where you always get the truth. Go Danbury Whalers. Get out there and watch those games. Thanks a lot, dude. I tell you, we'll get like one.
Hey, we get.